Hey there YouTube fans, AC Productions here. Today I'm going to be showing you on how to make some customized leg rests. Now what I mean and what you're looking at over here is my side frame slider. Now if you're anything like me, or if you live in a state actually that has really curvy roads, you don't have to really ride that far to get to them, you know, canyon carving or whatever it is, then pretty much this video is really not for you. But if you live in a boring state like me, which is Illinois, you know that, and especially if you're more closer to the Chicagoland area, there's not really that many twisty roads, and in order for me to get to those kind of twisty roads, I do have to travel a bit, and we're looking at least 1 hour of riding or more just to get to more closer to the next state for some good twisty roads, you know, curves and stuff like that, which makes obviously riding a lot more fun. So I'm always pretty much on my bike for a long distance of travel. So and I'm always, when I'm riding, I'm always like, you know, we're on the highway, you know, if I'm by myself or with a group, you know, there's always that Harley or that, you know, specific or you know, that cruiser that they're just cruising along, they got their legs spread out on the bars and stuff, and they look more comfortable, you know. And for you guys, you know, you may not have an extra cruiser bike to do those kind of long trips, you know, or maybe you do, but you know, if you only have one bike like I do, you know, it'll be awesome to just kind of do that, you know, just kind of put your legs up for a little bit, you know, especially for a long distance of travel, just to relax and stretch out your legs a little bit. So what I always end up doing, for me, because I do have the frame sliders, they stick out just a little bit, but you know, not that much. I do find myself putting my legs a little bit on, resting on these frame sliders, and for most part I'm able to get it up there and, you know, relax just a little bit, but at the same time it kind of hurts because obviously there's not that much surface for my whole leg to actually fit. It's just good for like a temporary, you know, stretch. Now if you guys hear that beep, that is my tire pressure monitoring system. I don't have the wheels connected on my bike, as you will soon see right now. I am doing some current maintenance on my bike, so I do have it on the stands for both front and rear tires. So if I do happen to bump my bike, it will give me a warning that it doesn't detect any pressure on my tires because they're not on there. Anyway, so I do find myself putting my legs up for a little bit, but I just kind of always wish that I had a little bit more, like some kind of cushion or something that I could, you know, put my legs up there and feel a little bit, you know, more comfortable for when I'm riding those long distances. Now I'm going to be showing you on how to do this project. Again, this is just, you know, personal preference. If you guys want to do something like this, you know, I'll give you the option to actually remove them when you're not doing any long distance traveling on your R3 or any bike, sport bike for that matter. This will go for any type of sport bike as long as you have these type of frame sliders, the diameter circle ones. If you have those pucks or some different style ones that are not like this ones, then this project will not work for you. All right, so let's get started. Let me show you the products and stuff you're going to need to do this project. Okay, so what I got here on the table may look like a lot, but really it's not. It's just all spread out to make it look like there's a lot. So we're going to start off over here at this side. We're going to need some blue tape to mark off the center part of the tube that we're going to use, which is right here. Measuring tape you may not need, but if you do happen to have one, it's good to have. A marker to mark the center, Dremel tool with a cutting wheel, scissors to cut the foam that we're going to be using. I'll show you that in a second. We're going to need PVC pipe. This one measures at around 8 inches around, so you could go a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller depending on the size of your part of your leg. Really is where this is going to be used for. Either a blade or, like I said, scissors for the electrical tape that we're going to be using to mask the frame slider so we don't you know, mar or, you know, cut up on the plastic. Next we're going to need these I forgot what these are called actually. I'm having a little bit of a brain fart right now, but we're going to need 2 of these, and here is, let me see if I could focus for you guys because you can see the diameter of these, but I think I could have probably gone a little bit smaller instead of these bigger ones, but I was kind of thinking in consideration that we're going to be cutting into this. We're actually going to be putting this in there, so I wanted to make sure I had enough. So it's better to go bigger than smaller, because if you go smaller, then you won't be able to, you know, compensate for that. So, and we could always cut off, you know, some of this material if we don't need it. All right, so this is the best I could do for focusing purposes. There we go. All right, so on the top part it says 0.36. At the bottom it says 19/70 millimeters. Okay, moving down the list, we're going to need a little ratchet like this with an 8mm socket. If you don't have 8mm for the size, 5/16 would work as well. We have our foam that we're going to be using. Now this is the size size of the foam. Obviously this was a lot longer, but I didn't need the longness, so I just cut it so I could show you, and pretty much all we need for this piece. So that's the foam, and then after that we're going to need a way to stick the foam onto the PVC piping, and we're going to be using this Gorilla spray adhesive, heavy duty of course. And then after that we're going to need some all-purpose spray paint. It's going to be the one I'll be using. It's all surface enamel, and the reason for that, we're not going to really be painting the inside of this, but pretty much the outside, because who wants to see an ugly white thing sticking out from your bike? Paint it black, have that thing on the top. It might be a good conversation starter of what you have on your bike, but again, it won't look that as much as ugly is what I'm saying. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on doing this project. Also wanted to mention, I know what you guys are going to put in the comments. Why go through all this trouble for the R3? Why not just go spend the money, go buy yourself a cruiser? Yeah, you can do that if you are made out of money or have money to go do that. I do not, so therefore I'm trying to make my R3 as comfortable as I can, especially for long rides. And until I hit the lottery, I will go and purchase a cruiser. All right, first things first, we're going to have to go ahead and measure the PVC pipe so we could mark down the middle so we could do our cut. I know I said that it'll be around. In the around department, this one, oh, it's actually 11. If you find that you have a little bit larger legs, you may want to go with you know, the next size up, maybe a 15-inch diameter, or if your legs are a little bit smaller, I think this would just do just fine for small to medium. Anyhow, so we're gonna go ahead and measure from up here. See, we are at 3.5 inches wide. So we're gonna have to go off camera, do my math calculations on what half of 3.5 inches wide is, and then put my piece of tape and mark it down the middle. If you don't have a measuring tape, that's okay. You can just take your piece of tape and eyeball the center and put your tape there. The reason we're doing our tape is because we just want to have a good indicator, you know, of the center. And if you happen to not have any tape, you could just go ahead and eyeball it and do your markings with the marker. But for me, I'm just going to kind of go with the tape method. Take a little piece, and like I said, if you didn't have the measuring tape, just kind of eyeball it to see where you think the middle is, and then just go ahead and stick your tape. That's all you're doing. And then after that, you could just go ahead and do your cut with the Dremel. Cut here, make a line straight all the way down and cut, and then you'll be able to separate the halves. Another thing that I just kind of found right now, if you happen to not have a measuring tape, but you do have regular tape, is to get the two pieces of tape and overlap it just a little bit. This will create a line. So with that, you're able to kind of see if it's in the center or not by the amount of tape that you have at the edge of the tube. So obviously I have a little bit more tape on this side than I do on this side. So what I would do is lightly pull it up and then realign it again until I know I have equal amount of tape on both sides. So that'll be another way of actually finding out the center of the tubing. After you find the center of your tube with the line, then you could go ahead and peel one of the sides of the tape off. Now that I went ahead and already cut the two halves, as you could see. Okay, so next we're going to do is you're going to take this, actually let's go ahead and put the foam on it. What we're going to do is we're going to grab this foam and we're going to, so if we put the glue, you can try to put something in here to kind of wait until it adheres, and therefore you get the shape. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and put this behind our leg. So if our leg was here, we're going to go ahead and put it behind. Now what you're doing is you're just testing for fitment to see how it feels on your leg. So if I would simulate your leg with this paint can, you know, we'll say that the black part is where your toes are at, and this is your calf. So what you're doing is you're just checking for fitment. Now if you put your calf on there and you see that there's a big gap in space right here, then go ahead and maybe cut just a little bit more until you get your leg actually seated there. But if after cutting all of that and you still feel that your leg is uncomfortable, then I would say probably get a bigger diameter piping and then repeat the process until it feels comfortable for you. All right guys, I kind of wanted to show you for myself where I cut this one up on how much material I actually cut. So now if you see, this is where we started off with, and this is where I ended up with this one, and that's where I found it very comfortable for myself with the foam pad. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one off. Again, when you guys cut, go ahead and cut one off and then test it before you cut the other one off. Reason I say is because even though you mark both to be even, when you cut one side, you know, you still could turn it a little bit and it'll still somewhat be even. Okay, I'm all done with cutting. Now next thing is, if you have some sharp edges, go ahead and get a sander and just, you know, sand off those areas that are a little bit sharp. So now that we got this, all right, so now that we're over here at the bike, we're actually going to be doing and looking for is we're going to go ahead and put our new piece right here. Now this is where the new piece is going to be. So if I were to put it this way, I mean, this is pretty much, we're going to have it at an angle, because obviously when we ride in our bike, we're going to have our leg at an angle. Unless you're able to put your leg straight, then you have some really good flexibility. but for me, I'm just gonna have it kind of angled. But anyway, so you're gonna put it in a position where you're gonna normally have your leg. So obviously you could see that the pipe doesn't extend all the way out because they're just frame sliders. So what we're gonna do actually is we're gonna be installing this this bracket right here and tighten it down onto the frame slider. In order to do that, we actually need to make a hole, 2 holes, so we could kind of, you know, thread this in, and then that'll kind of make a little bracket, and then we could go ahead and tighten it. So what you're doing right now, like I said, we're just gonna, you know, kind of eyeball it and you know, make your 2 little lines for the frame slider actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a line there and maybe a line right over there. So it kind of looks like that. So pretty much I was just kind of looking at the, you know, putting it on the top of the frame slider and kind of just marking it on the width of the frame slider. So I think pretty much around there should work out. So just do the best you can. It doesn't have to be extremely perfect. All right, so now this is going to be the tool they're going to be using for the Dremel. Kind of hard to see on the camera. Well, anyway, it's just pretty much like a side winding drill. You know, it's not a drill per se, but it's something similar, and it's just going to cut into the plastic, and it has like little grooves that will allow to, oh, there we go, sort of, pretty much, oh, there we go. So it'll allow grooves, and it'll pretty much cut into that plastic, and we don't need anything big. So I'm going to go ahead and make my cut. I'm going to make the first hole, and then I'm going to kind of just go back and forth just a little bit, just a little slit. All we need is just enough to get this width into that hole, and in that hole, and then we should be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how to thread this into this piece. And again, like in all my videos, and if you're new to my channel, anything, I always show you just one side, because what I do on one side is always going to be identical to the other side. As you can see, I already made my slits. So I made a hole, and then I just went sideways. That's what the tool allows you to do, is to cut sideways. So hole, and then sideways, hole, and then sideways. It doesn't have to look pretty, guys. Just letting you know, don't be unless you're a professional on doing this stuff. I'm not. So like I said, doesn't look good. Look that pretty. All right, so next we're gonna do is you're going to go ahead and grab your clamp, get your 8mm, and unscrew this all the way so it looks like this. Once you get it like this, what we're gonna do is we're going to feed it through. Let me see. I think so. This one is gonna be the front facing one that's gonna go towards the front of the bike. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna feed it from the bottom, get it up to here, you know, up, and then just, you know, feed it in the other hole like that until it's all in. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how it looks like. So I fed it through. This is how it looks like, and then from the other end, I want to make sure that this part is pointed towards me, towards the back of the bike. All right, so this is how it looks like. So let's go over to the bike, and let's give it a little test fit to see on how we did. So here we are. Let's go ahead and don't mind this for now, because we will do our main adjustment. We're just going to check for fitment and see how it looks. So it's looking pretty good, actually, guys. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to grab our tool, and then we're just going to start cinching this down. Obviously, this is a lot bigger diameter, so we may have to actually cut some of the clamp off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tool. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, right now will probably be a good time to actually get some of that electrical tape and wrap it around a few times. Reason is that we don't want this clamp to actually damage the frame slider. Alrighty, guys, so there it is. That's how it pretty much looks like. And I've already gone ahead and I'll show you that I marked off on how much slack I'm going to be cutting off. Right now it's not completely tight on there. I also decided to put a little piece of tape over here because I don't want to scratch up the plastic of my fairings. So at this point, it looks pretty good. I'm a little bit concerned about this part does go up a little bit more, but I won't know until I actually ride the bike and, you know, give it a good testing on that department, which I think we're having a good day coming up soon. So right now you're going to see that there's going to be a little hump on this part. Now you could go ahead and once we remove it, you could go ahead and try to flatten this as much as you can, but just note that once we put the foam, that could affect on how well it's going to stick, and you might even feel this hump if you leave it like that when you put your leg on it. All right, so now that we already test fit it, it's looking pretty good. As you could see, it is at an angle just because I didn't want it to be, you know, too pushed against this way, so I kind of moved it off to the side a little bit, but either or, it's still going to fit and tighten very well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Go ahead and wiggle it off. Now, as you can see, I did mark it with the red marker on how much slack I'm going to remove. I did leave a little bit just in case I do need to make an adjustment, and once I tighten it really good, it shouldn't stick out that much more. So you guys do the same. Just mark it on how much slack you want to remove, and then just go ahead and use your Dremel and cut that piece off. All right, so next after that, what we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, for me, I'm going to go ahead and flatten it because I want this part to be as flat as possible. And once I do that, then I'll show you what to do next. All right, now that I've already gone ahead and flattened it, as you can see, it's nice and flat. Now what I did to flatten it was just use some pliers and then just grab it and just press it and flatten it. It flattened fairly easy. So now that I already got both of these done, now next we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to adhere the foam. So here is our foam piece. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we cut just enough that what we need. So obviously this came with a very long, I think it was probably like 7 feet long worth of this tube. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and measure it up to make sure that it's off to the same edge over here, and then we're just gonna go ahead and cut, you know, what we need. All right, so now we're about to get ready to adhere the foam, which is right here, and we're gonna put, you know, spray the glue, the Gorilla Glue, the heavy duty right here. We're gonna let it sit for around 30 seconds. Then I'm gonna spray another layer of it and then wait 30 seconds, total of a minute altogether. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put the foam here. And after that, I'm gonna need a little bit extra because, like I said, now we need to put something here to actually hold the edges. So until they, you know, until it finally cures, I would say. In order to do that, I got some small little clamps here. So if I were to put it on here, once I get everything glued, I'm just gonna get my clamp and put it like this, like so. So if you have 4 clamps, that'd be amazing. So just, you know, 1 clamp, 2 clamps on each side, 2 here, and then just let it sit for, I think, I would say probably an hour or so until it actually, you know, cures. Once you do that, I think that'll be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so that's how mine looks like. I ran out of clamps, so I had to use vice locks. So if you have those, that's a good way to clamp. You don't need that much force, just enough to just kind of squeeze it, so light tension. Alrighty guys, it's pretty much been approximately an hour, maybe just a little bit past an hour. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the clamps. And as you can see, it's leaving a little indentation of where the clamps were. That's okay, it's not gonna bother me. I'm sure it's gonna probably, you know, get back to its normal state. So let's go ahead and remove all that. All right, so now this is what we're left with. Everything is looking good. Now don't worry about the foam sticking out from this, because we're actually gonna now go into perfection and actually cut that foam off. So you're gonna do is just gonna get your long blade or scissors and just go ahead and put your blade alongside the plastic, and then just go ahead and just, you know, cut the foam off, going alongside the plastic. And there you go. So now we'll have a nice smooth the plastic part of the foam. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do one more so you guys could see. Get my blade out more, and then just go ahead and cut off the excess of the foam. So that's pretty much it on doing it. Just make sure you do it for all the sides, so that way you have a nice uniform, you know, foam with the plastic. All right, so after that, it's going to be off to paint. So pretty much paint is self-explanatory. You know, just if you can get like a piece of string to put into these holes, so you could zoom in. So if you could get a string and put it into the hole, that we kind of hang it, and then therefore you're able to. Don't mind my hand. I did the other one. I already spray painted the other one. But like I said, put a piece of string here that way you could hold it, and then just go ahead and spray paint all of this side. Spray paint the edges here, so that's all black. That's up to you if you want to spray paint the foam. I didn't do it on mine. I don't really need to have this part black. It's gonna, you know, unless you want it to be black, that's up to you. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'll show you the end result with the other one. All right, guys, kind of wanted to show you real quick, but I'm gonna put this off to the side to dry. But here is the end result. I put a little zip tie, shoved the zip tie into the hole, which is kind of holding it while I'm showing you this. So like I said, right there, all the edges are already painted. It's pretty much only put 1 coat, I think, maybe 1, 2 coats should be good enough. I may do 1 more, but it doesn't be too pretty. This is gonna be the underside of the leg rest anyway. So all you wanted to do is just kind of coat all the white, so no white is showing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this off to the side, let it dry for at least 30 minutes to an hour. Alrighty guys, now here is how our side piece already looks. It's already cured on the paint. Everything is looking good. So now next what to do is the final part is just pretty much install it on here. Again, if you want, you guys could put a piece of tape on your fairing, that way it doesn't start scratching your fairing. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I could do this with the camera right in front in my way. So go ahead and install this part, get it to slide on there. And then also at this point you can kind of experiment with the position of where you want this to be. If you want it to be more straight, or you want it to be more angled, or heck, even almost all the way down, but I don't think that would even feel comfortable. So I would say probably around there. So just go ahead, probably bring your tool with you, go out on a ride. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it on here like this for now, and then just, you know, go out for a ride and give it a test to see how this feels. Alright guys, so that pretty much concludes on how to do these side leg rests for your frame sliders. Let me go ahead and move it to the other side so you guys can see how it looks like from the front view. Alright, so this is how it looks like from the side view, and it actually almost looks like a frame slider, honestly. If I didn't point out to you that here is the pad for the leg rest, you would probably just look at it and think that it's some kind of weird frame slider. So everything's all blacked out, so like I said, you won't be able to notice it all that much. So this is it. Let me go a little bit closer so you guys could see it. Looking good there. And then on the bottom you can't really tell because everything, like I said, it's all blacked out. Alrighty guys, so that pretty much concludes this video on how to do those the custom pad leg rest frame slider adaptation kit. This is just meant to kind of have a place to put your leg and make the ride a little bit more comfortable for yourself. If you guys enjoyed the video, please smash that like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, that way you guys are up to date with my latest videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you disliked the video, please smash the dislike button. Let me know in the comments below what you disliked about the video, that way this will help me improve for future videos. Or if you found this to be a very quirky, unnecessary thing, put it in the comments below, because I know I'm going to get a lot of that. But to each their own. I'm a little hesitant about making the video, but heck, might as well do a video on it in case you're looking to do something like this. Or hey, if you know someone that's looking to do something similar, share my videos. Alright guys, well thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.